Good morning. I am live and I am playing hooky today. I'm gonna open up good the chat window just in case anybody pops in. And really haven't given this one much thought, which I never really do, I guess. Actually, sometimes I do. I think about like, what am I going to talk about? But a lot of times I really have no idea. Um, Sometimes I'll really have nothing to say. This is really like an experiment. It's a thought and speech and media experiment, video experiment. And happy Friday, if that means anything to anyone. We live on this Monday through Friday. You know, a lot of us do, but a lot of people work the weekend. My 4-year-old said something I thought was very profound. She said, the clock beat me because I was telling her she has to go to bed. So you have to go to bed. Look, it's 9 o'clock. Look at the clock. It's already 9. She goes, the clock beat me. It's like, I just kind of paused and I was like, yeah. Said, the clock beats us all in the end. she, I don't think she didn't know what that meant. So thought that was, and that's the world that we create. We create this world of clocks. And then she says, I want to get rid of the clock. I want to throw it away. And I just laughed. Of course, then she kept saying it like the next day. So I try not to laugh at those things because she'll just continue on. But I agreed. Yeah, I want to get rid of the clock too. I want to throw it away. We live by this clock, this schedule. Um, it seems like the rhythm of our society does not match the rhythm of nature or the rhythm of this planet. It's just an observation, just an observation. Uh, and I believe that is a lot. I think that is a big reason for disease, or they'll just say problems, just to make it even broader. Problems are for our society are largely caused by our disconnect from the natural flow of nature, which is basically like the Tao. If I've been researching, not researching, I've been listening to that new guy, Jason Gregory, a little bit. And of course, almost everything there is on Alan Watts, I think I've heard. Um, but it's like that the flow of nature. There's like, according to Taoism, there's just this natural flow, like the way things are going, and suffering is caused when you act against that flow. But at the same time, you have to think, well, if there's the yin and the yang, there's positive, there's negative. So if there was no resistance, I mean, life can't just be all flow. But ideally, as a society, you would think that we would want to be more in harmony with nature, to have less problems, to have less disease, hunger, crime, all the just the same old dilemmas that have caused suffering for humans since the beginning of our beginning, whenever that was. I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know. It's hard not to take an interest in society. Either you're interested, either you're watching, or you're not. And most of us, we have some sort of that social sense, civic duty, maybe. But I will still stand to, we must be very careful when we set out to try to do good and try to make a difference for its own sake. To do good for good's sake. Do good for goodness sake. I don't think we should. I don't think we should be good for the sake of being good. Um, I think we should be good because we are good, because we've discovered that's truly what we are. The only message is be you. You know, if I were to give a message, is be you. Some people will say, "Don't listen to what other people say." Well, listen, listen. I say, listen to what other people say. Listen to what everyone says. Um, and then there's that expression, "Well, I take everything with a grain of salt," and that's really it's a. I mean, by itself, it sounds not like nonsense because it's like, what does salt have to do with anything? I'm sure there's a meaning to it, but I like the expression because of its meaning of you know everything has a flip side. So you take everything, it's like, yeah, it's great advice, you know, and advice is always geared towards the future, and nobody can predict the future. So there's really no point in getting too enthusiastic with our advice for how we think others should live, or even ourselves. Yeah, we make plans, do things, walk in a direction, achieve things, learn skills. But when you do it with the why of why are you doing things is really like what is your motivation makes all the difference in how you will feel about doing it. uh, if you're doing it for the sake of improving yourself, it's a chore, it's work. But if you're doing it for the sake of you're doing what you enjoy, or you're doing what you want to do, uh, then it will be much more enjoyable. It's just a simple truth. And the great thing is you don't have to actually even change what you're doing. You say, well, I hate what I'm doing. I hate my job. And for some people, quit your job maybe is an option. I don't recommend anybody be rash and just, irresponsible. Yeah, that's another topic I've been thinking is the modern working parent's dilemma of, you know, of balancing their I guess their desires really with their responsibilities, like what you want to do, um like we want to just, I don't know, let's lead a simple life, just sit out, sit outside on a front porch and drink tea and have conversations and, you know, nothing fancy. We don't need nothing fancy, right? But we have these demanding lives where we we have to work, we have to make money to support our families. Have to. And I do think we have to, you know. I don't for somebody just saying, "No, I'm just a free spirit," and they go off and live their life and maybe find enlightenment, but you got like 3 kids somewhere that you're not, or even 1 kid that you're not supporting, you know, not just financially is not the most important thing, but, you know, um, just being there, just being a parent, because in this world, that's all kids have. In an ideal world, it'd be the village raising the child. And I really do think that is an ideal world that where it's a smaller, tight knit, tribal kind of community, um, where people to kind of take care of their own, and like basically like Native Americans. But yeah, but if somebody, but in today's modern world, if you have a kid, you got to take care of that kid. I mean, that's just the plain simple truth. It's the law for one, and it's the right thing to do. Um, so I don't I don't really have respect for people that are that have abandoned their kids. Now, I mean, there's all different kinds of situations where they're estranged. One parent is, one parent's just dominant, taking over, kind of taking the kid away, and parents are not allowed to see their kids. That's a tragedy. That's another tragedy. And I know situations like that where the parent wants to be part of the kid's life and is prevented and blocked by the other parent. Now, that's a crime for the parent that's doing the blocking and not allowing the other parent in. And I see it go both ways, because people will be quick to take sides and say it's men, it's women. It goes both ways. Um, a child needs a mother and a father in this modern world. But basically, children need male and female role models. They need both. And in Western civilization, you've got mom and dad. And when grandma and grandpa step in, I think that's fantastic. I mean, a lot of times they're kind of forced to, and it may be they're kind of, it's a bad situation for their kid, but they step up. They don't want, they step up and take care of their grandchild when their child is not able to. I think that's a very admirable thing that shows the character, of a person. Um, but so it comes back to the modern dilemma of, uh, you know, raising a child, fulfilling your responsibility as a parent. And before I get into this, let me say, single people, you've got a lot of freedom. You have a lot of, I mean, not just single people without, you know, somebody under your care. And a lot of times we find people to care for that. And I've noticed that people will just, they'll get animals and they'll be, this is my baby, my dogs. And I have kind of opinion about that. Nothing wrong with that. But, we care, we want to have, we want to be cared for and we want to care for others. And I think that's important. But when you don't have an actual mouth to feed, like somebody depending on you physically and completely and totally, it's a complete change. So before you have kids, before you have people depending on you, just realize you are experiencing a level of freedom, um, that most do not, because most people are decent. And once they have a child, they feel responsible to take care of the child. Most people, uh, men and women. So the dilemma though is for the person, the family man or woman who is, has to work either, um, out in the world or just so much, or work at home, taking care of the child. The more children it is, the more work, laundry and making meals, and it is literally nonstop. Um, so you find yourself just consumed by doing all of these things, doing all of this. But I'm reading, just do nothing, just let go, just be, just allow existence to be. And then people say, well, how can you just be, how can you follow any of this Zen advice with in this modern world? And you know how can it even be applicable? Because we can't stop, there's no time to stop. First of all, I think there is time to stop, to pause. That we have to take time to pause, to give ourselves a break. Breaks are necessary. And but also, what you cut out is the thinking about. There's no need to think about what ifs about that. That's what drives us crazy, I think, is what ifs. Like, what if I didn't have to do all this, or what you would do if you had more time or more money. There's nothing wrong thinking about that time to time, I think, and that will, but that's what ultimately causes anxiety is thinking about things. Instead, if we just do the things that are laid out before us, and also when you do something, you can do it, like the first time you did it, you kind of keep a newness about your perspective, and little simple tasks you will find in your life you can either eliminate or change to make easier. Um, but these little simple chores that we're faced with, just laundry, dishes, our jobs, these mundane things that we want to eliminate. We love our kids, but nobody loves doing laundry and dirty dishes. And uh actually, my wife says she enjoys folding clothes, and I love her for that. Not just for that, but she says it calms her. She sits on the couch and folds clothes. uh and you could tell she's calm and she's peaceful and she's folding the clothes. She always has liked to fold clothes. So my point is that I'm getting to through this long, winding, meandering diatribe, whatever. That's the wrong word. Monologue. Um, there is a Zen way of doing with that no mind, that emptiness, with relaxation, with a relaxed mind that's not stressed about the next move. You could be in the most intense. You could be in the most intense or difficult or complicated actions or situation, but your state of mind can be one of just of no thought, because you're acting, you're doing, but you're not having to think about it. You know what to do. I mean, the and your mind and your body kind of work in the same way. Your mind can work without thinking. It's crazy. Think without thinking. That's the secret. Anyways, just seeing things in a new perspective, because you can't immediately change your situation. You can't immediately, have a ton of money in your bank account, or, um, whatever, the house you want, or live in the place you want, or you can't, to immediately just physically manifest those things. It's not possible. I think we desire change, we crave change. But one thing it is easy to do is change your perspective. You can always change perspective. And the thing, you never know really who is perceiving, where are you perceiving from. Something Watts said is kind of stuck with me. It's like it's the blame and praise. You have to get away from the blame and praise game, because you will never know, who is the real me. You know, um, who should I praise? Who should I blame? Whose fault is it for all these problems? Who do we have to thank for the beauty of life? These questions, I think, lead us away from real truth and experiencing life. It's like watching a movie, and you turn to the person next to you and you're asking, who is this guy starring? Oh, and you start talking about another movie he played in, and it kind of detracts from that experience of the movie. I got somebody here. I am so HAD. You're going to have to clarify there, Darren. Good morning, Darren. Are you from Wales? It's probably, what time is it in Wales? Later? Afternoon? Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm always okay. Except when I'm not, then I'm not. You mean like the back thing? It was, I get that from time to time, and it goes away. I usually just, it goes away. It's weird. It's a gas bubble inside my back. Military time, 13, 139. Okay. I'm dyslexic with that stuff. Are you a military guy, or you just like to use or is that more common over there? Do they use the 24-hour clock? Um, I know all of Europe uses like Celsius and metric system. Pretty much the world, right? America's like, no, we're going to stick to our old, uh, what's the word? Standard Old English, MRE, MRE, comma, not military. Okay, I don't know what's MRE, but yeah, I've just been here rambling, talking about things, my perspective, my advice for the world, trying to make it better. Not being sarcastic now. More. Elmore. Um, yeah, so that's all I got. And be good. That's all. Be good, people. You should know I'm joking because that's my thing. Is I think we are good. That's the message. A better message than be good is we are good. Believe in yourself. Be yourself. Finally, a sentence I can read, Darren. Thank you. Kidding. Sorry, typing is rubbish. Doing good now, though. Yeah, I think we are backwards, though, because of society, and we're good in spite of it. Um, I was talking about the idea of going back to this uncarved block. This guy Jason Gregory was talking about, who Lao Tzu, the founder of the guy who basically started uh, Taoism. Um, it's really, to stop being backwards. All we have to do is take away all the programming, all the stuff that's been piled onto us by society, and strip down to that raw nature. And there's two stories. See, his predecessor, and they've gone on, and these two stories have been conflicting throughout time. And the other story is that no, we are flawed and we require refining, we require work, that life is this work that we must do. And there's these two kind of philosophies that have been arguing, even East and West. And even within the East, those two philosophies existed because what's the other one? Confucianism. Confucius says, had the theory that we were needed refining, that we start out bad, and that we need improvement. But Lao Tzu says, no, we start out just fine, and then it's all the society messes us up, but it's all the programming, and we just have to strip away to that unrefined block, as he calls it. And that's my thinking. And I may be wrong, but I feel like that. I would just choose that because I don't know, it feels better. If the other one feels like, oh, it's work. It feels like work. You mean there's something wrong with me, and now I got to do work? That's no fun. Why would we make life not fun? What's the point of life if it's a chore? Life should be fun. It should be enjoyable. That's what I think. I don't know. That's why we came here. Why else would we come here? To punish ourselves? But maybe for some that's it. I don't know. It's to experience. Every experience is unique. It's valuable, and every perspective, I believe, is valid. I don't want to bash anybody else's views or beliefs, but it's just a topic of interest of mine. Just the philosophies that people have believed, the myths and the stories people believe throughout history, um, how they serve us and how they fail us. Yeah, I would say Zen. Darren asks, he says, you pull a lot of information from various sources, but what is your main philosophy? Buddhism. Yeah, I would say specifically Zen Buddhism, um, which is like the religion. Like as Alan Watts says, it's the Zen is like the religion. It's so cool. It tries to be like you don't even notice it. Like it's not a religion. I mean, it's really there's no rules in Zen. There's no it's I guess yeah Taoism also specifically, which is a Chinese. I think actually it started from what Alan Watts said. Taoism, Buddhism, it was from the Buddhism is from the Hindus, and then it went to China and became Taoism. So I'm kind of more on the Chinese, like the Taoist side. I heard the baby, um, so I got to live up to my title. I think Mama's sleeping, and I'm playing hooky today, so I'm gonna go help her out. She's not really crying though. Sometimes like she'll wake up and she'll just like, she'll be pretty chill in her crib, standing there. She's fine. She's quiet. I can hear her. I can hear if she makes noise. She just made one sound. And sometimes she'll make a sound and then she'll go back to sleep. So she's not making sound now. She was like, ah. I wasn't like crying. Um, yeah, I mean, I talk about the Taoism, the Buddhism a lot because I feel like Western society. I mean, I'm a descendant of Westerners. I feel like there's a lot of positive things about Westerners, and I feel like the Western culture, in a way, is being like demonized by our own governments, by our own cultures and media. I feel like there's a lot of good things about what the West has done, but also um, I do think there's some limiting things in the beliefs and the religion. Uh, I don't like the way Christianity was kind of spread at the way it was just kind of forced on people, like you either had to accept it or die. I mean, first it was spread by martyrs. So first you couldn't be a Christian. So they're like, okay, well, let's just get ourselves martyred. So that, a lot of people got martyred and they spread it that way. That was the initial spread of Christianity. And then, and then once the Romans adopted it, it's like, yeah, you're a Christian now. Hey, did you hear? You're a Christian. And if you want to keep living, you are anyways. Um, and then you got the Spanish Inquisition. They were like seemed like the most brutal. The Spanish, they the countries that they conquered, you know, it's like they are very strongly Catholic even to this day. Like Mexico and Central American countries, and also Philippines. Um, they left little room for doubt. You will convert, and that's just the way it was. So I mean, I have like, and then also my biggest issue with Christianity is like we're all sinners. Like that goes back to that that my thing of the uncarved block, that we're I say we're good, and I think it's important. It's a very important distinction in how you view. If you say we're bad, then it's just you're starting off for telling yourself a bad story about yourself. It's like you're already believing you're bad. I'm a sinner. I'm bad. Um, Therein says, why are the four gospels written by three disciples? Huh. I thought there was Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. If one of them's not a disciple, I'm not super familiar. I was raised Jehovah's Witness, so I mean, I know their version, and I know where they differ from like mainstream Christianity. Um, the baby is awake. She's kind of singing now. She's like ah ah. So I'll probably wrap this. Luke wasn't a disciple. Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad y'all tuned in for the live broadcast. I'll be back. Uh, yeah, she's starting to get a little, I don't know, not so happy anymore. Y'all have a great day. I might be back later. I don't know. Try not to plan things. Yeah, time to go be daddy. All right, peace out, y'all. Have a good one.